No one, not even a president, is above the law. If Donald Trump and his personal criminal defense lawyers now running the Justice Department succeed, the consequences will be profound. The impact will be felt by Americans from all walks of life and by future generations. This is why Ranking Member Raskin and I have taken the extraordinary step of convening this unprecedented hearing. We brought together both chambers of Congress, the Senate and the House, to conduct real oversight and to serve as a check and balance, to hold those who misuse power to account and to carry out our constitutional duty.
Russian collusion 2.0. Adam Schiff is at it again with his own design, coordinated, set up committee hearing so he can investigate the wrongdoings. The exact same thing that we've seen before. Now, what is this hearing? What is this committee? We're going to hear exactly from Adam Schiff, directly from him, because he has a great YouTube channel. I got to give it to him. Before we do that, let's go back to hear exactly what he said about Russian collusion back in 2017. Hint, hint, it sounds pretty similar. It's SeanDaniel here. If you like the video, just hit that like button down below, especially if you like how my hairline is 10 times better than Adam Schiff's for now.
Now, can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt, will be Mueller's question to answer, that the Russians communicated to the campaign that the way they were going to deliver the help they offered and that the campaign accepted was not by handing the emails directly over to the campaign, but by publishing them. That will be up to Mueller, and we continue to try to fill in all of the missing pieces. But we do know this. The Russians offered help, the campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning, whether it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt of conspiracy or not.
Yes, of course, Trump, Russia, bad, bad, bad. Adam Schiff was also a big proponent with the impeachment hearings with Trump. He's just anti-Trump, and he's all about doing these hearings, these coordinated councils, committees, to get something on him to stop, like what he was doing with the deportations right now, and how they tried to get that stopped through a judge, but now the Supreme Court said, ha-ha, nuh-uh. What's the full details? What is Adam Schiff really going to do with this special counsel hearing? How are they going to try to limit Trump? Well, let's hear exactly what he says publicly, and then we'll analyze that.
This week, an immigration attorney at the Department of Justice told a federal court that he would implore his department to seek to return a man wrongfully deported to a maximum security prison in El Salvador, a man who had been deported in violation of a judge's order. And the department's response to this gross miscarriage of justice was not to accept responsibility or to take urgent action to correct the problem and seek the man's return. No, the department's response was to punish the department's own lawyer for speaking truthfully to the court, for what it deemed an act of insubordination, for failure to give full-throated defense to the department's illegal act. This is why we are here today. We are here today because the rule of law and democracy in the United States is under attack, not by a foreign adversary or some distant threat. The rule of law is being attacked and subverted from within, from an administration intoxicated by its own power and enabled by a supine Congress. Donald Trump is taking unprecedented steps to bend our justice system to his will, and his administration is moving systematically and swiftly to dismantle the legal pillars that hold up our democracy: the independence of the legal system, the idea of impartial justice, the right to counsel, and the principle that no one, not even a president, is above the law. If Donald Trump and his personal criminal defense lawyers now running the Justice Department succeed, the consequences will be profound. The impact will be felt by Americans from all walks of life and by future generations. This is why Ranking Member Raskin and I have taken the extraordinary step of convening this unprecedented hearing. We brought together both chambers of Congress, the Senate, and national duty. Convening this hearing was not our first choice. We have tried to get our Republican colleagues to hold hearings, to do meaningful oversight, to assert Congress's authority as an independent branch of government. But to our great disappointment, our Republican colleagues have abdicated that important responsibility. They have stood by as the president has run roughshod over the legislative branch, and turn Congress into little more than a rubber stamp. So today we'll hold the first of what we hope will be more bicameral oversight hearings. We will do the investigative work that our colleagues across the aisle refuse to do. We will expose the illegality, abuse, and corruption of this administration and within the Department of Justice. We will have brave witnesses speak to what's actually happening behind closed doors, how the Trump administration continues to try to intimidate them from speaking out, and why it matters to Americans across the country. The Trump administration is following a well-worn playbook. History serves as a guide and as a warning. In the 1930s, a Jewish lawyer in Berlin tracked in meticulous detail how Germany gradually became what he called a dual state. First, to keep the country running, the ordinary legal system remained in place for most people. And yet, step by step, a parallel system of governance and law emerged, what one scholar called a lawless zone. A parallel system carry out the will of the leader and to go after his enemies, real or perceived, to punish, to reward, to co-opt, to intimidate, silence, or take over institutions that make a society free and vibrant, the courts, the lawyers, the universities, the press, even businesses.
Yes, he just compared Trump's government, Doge, deporting people who are illegally here and have already been deemed by a judge that they need to leave. He just compared that subtly to Nazi Germany, where they were extincting, basically exterminating people. Yes, also remember, whatever the media and these liberals usually tell you that we're doing or the Trump team's doing or the Republicans are doing, usually they do it themselves. Oh, Trump and his team are pressuring people not to speak out. Behind the scenes, they're pressuring them. All because what? He's getting Doge, he's firing people that are incompetent or not doing good work, or he's not allowing these government programs to continue that are wasteful spending. That's exactly what the Democrats do, by the way. They do the pressuring behind the scenes. They have their witnesses come out, say what they want to say, like they did in the Russian collusion, like in the impeachment hearings. Keep that in mind.
And over time, the emerging authoritarianism would swallow what remained of the rule of law. And now Hungary provides a more present-day warning. Methodically, Viktor Orbán has tried to dismantle the independence of Hungary's judicial system, its education system, and free press, undermining democracy while pretending to uphold the law.
Hungary is one of the countries, probably the only country in the EU, Poland as well, that stands up to the EU's ridiculous dictatorial governance where they say you need to take in migrants, and if you don't, you need to pay to transport them. When they're their own country. Hungary has backbone. Viktor Orbán has backbone.
And we have our own history that we must not forget. In the 1950s, in this very institution, Senator Joseph McCarthy and his enablers wielded the power of the government to go after perceived enemies. Many shamefully did not stand up at the time. Some chose expediency, political gain, or profit. Others thought they could weather the storm by cutting deals or staying silent. If this sounds all too eerily familiar, it is because it is. But there is a silver lining and a reason for hope. Those who defended fellow Americans then are now rightfully viewed as vindicated by history. The courage demonstrated by Americans in decades past and by brave men and women in other countries should serve as our inspiration and a roadmap for standing up for the rule of law, for each other, and for our democracy. Today's hearing, therefore, is a step towards real oversight and accountability. Our witnesses have demonstrated remarkable courage. Like Ryan Croswell, who resigned after witnessing, as we all have, the corrupt use of the Department of Justice's prosecutorial power by striking an illicit bargain with the mayor of New York to do the administration's bidding. These witnesses refuse to enable a two-tier system of justice that grants favors and cuts corners for the famous or wealthy. And as we'll hear today, they bravely stood up to ongoing efforts by the Department of Justice to intimidate them from speaking today, including when they planned to send armed marshals to the home of one of our witnesses, Liz Oyer, in order to discourage her from testifying today. These witnesses, like Stacey Young, are supporting others who continue to serve the public interest, continue to be employed by the Department of Justice and who cannot speak for themselves. One of our witnesses, Rachel Cohen, stood up when her law firm would not, even as other law firms beat a path to the White House to capitulate to the extortionary campaign of the executive branch, even as that campaign weakens the right to counsel, the right of free speech, and the right to take on unpopular causes. Today's witnesses represent the antidote to the collective action problem we have seen when law firms, universities, and other institutions race to the White House to cut their own deals rather than stand on principle. In this defining moment, our institutions must not grovel before power. They must not retreat. They must stand together. They must lead. Law firms, universities, public servants, Congress, each has a unique role, an important role to play, because a democracy that fails to hold power to account ceases to be a democracy at all. Because we cannot allow the law to be twisted into a tool of personal or political vengeance or favor, and we cannot let threats to our democracy go unchallenged.
What did Adam Schiff just say? Let's play that again.
To be a democracy at all. Because we cannot allow the law to be twisted into a tool of personal or political vengeance or favor, and we cannot let threats to our democracy go unchallenged.
We cannot allow the legal system to get turned into basically power moves and games and behind-the-scenes manipulations. I don't know how every day they can go onto TV and hearings and say blatantly that the other side is doing basically what I'm doing behind the scenes. We've all seen the Russian collusion stuff. We've all seen the impeachment hearings. We've all just seen the vibe Adam Schiff gives off, which, as a viewer and as a citizen in the States who's not maybe always plugged into every single detail of what's going on, because it's confusing and hard to keep track of everything, you have to use your perception and the vibe or personality with which these people give off as your analyzing factor to figure out, is this guy full of shit or is he honest? And with Adam Schiff, in my opinion, it's always been dishonest, sleazy, and like he basically bends over backwards to do what he needs to do to stay in power. And not saying Republicans don't do that. I'm sure Lindsey Graham does that, the way he's changed with his war policies. But to hear Adam Schiff say that, it's just like, it makes your teeth grind, especially when you heard him during the impeachment stuff, that they can say this stuff over and over about the games, the power struggles, compromising legal systems, all in order to cave to the president. Oh my God. Bro, like you haven't been doing that? Like we haven't seen that the last 4 years where there was all this caving to pressure in order to not promote the Hunter Biden laptop story, in order to not investigate it, in order to bypass people through the legal system with the illegal immigration, in order to even just now vote against the Supreme Court justices that voted against Trump doing the Alien Enemies Act. Anyway, he's out in the open saying it now, so we should be prepared for more and more hearings, investigations, things that they can utilize to pin against the president and against especially the deportation stuff that's going on, because that makes them, Adam Schiff especially in California, lose more power because they can potentially lose illegal voters. So, and illegal voters means, if you lose illegal voters, that means loss of power, and these people love power. So all bets are off. They're going to be throwing hands, playing games, and it's now starting in the open with these hearings and witnesses. And just be ready. It's SeanDaniel here. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, the thumbs up, or subscribing. I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao. I'm in Japan, so I should say sayonara.